Good morning. In light of a post that had been made and other posts that have been made recently, I felt like I felt led to come and make this video um, kind of quickly and to go ahead and post it and have it there. A few male standing with God spouses have expressed about how they feel with their wife or ex-wife at this time, unfortunately, about their actions and such. This is something I looked at quite a long while back, but just kind of rediscovered recently. And so I want to read first, before I say anything else, from Genesis 3. And Genesis 3 is the chapter that talks about the fall of man. Genesis 1 talks about the creation. Genesis 2 talks about the creation of man. And now Genesis 3 talks about the fall. I want to start in verse 16. Because up until then, God talks about basically Satan, the enemy, and people. But in verse 16, God takes a little bit different track. To woman he said, I will greatly multiply your pain in childbirth. In pain you will bring forth children, yet your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you. Then verse 17, then to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten from the tree about which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat from it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In toil you will eat of it all the days of your life. Both thorns and thistles it shall grow for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. Verse 19, by the sweat of your face you will eat bread till you return to the ground, because from it you were taken. For you are dust, and to dust you shall return. What this is saying is God has put animosity between the husband and wife. He has created because of Adam. This all falls on Adam because of what he did and didn't do. First didn't do and then did. Now the woman has to suffer. She has to hurt. She has to go through sorrow. She has to go through pain because of Adam. Because of the man. And who is she going to take that out on? The man. God says, yet your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you. Even out of all that stuff, she's still going to desire a person, yet she's going to have this struggle of authority. It's going to be a struggle of authority between these two. And I mean no offense to any women that watch this, but the one thing when a woman, it seems anyway, that I have seen, when a woman begins to grasp that authority back, or begins to grasp that authority, she takes it and she runs with it. And she says, I'm going to keep a hold of this so that nobody controls me. And she does everything she can. Because it feels good. It feels nice to have something back. Or to have something that maybe she never truly had. But it's because the enemy is saying, you should have this. You should get to have what you want. You should get to have your authority. You should get to have your control. Even a woman who should be walking with God will say, well, God will bless me. There's one problem with all of that, though. What she doesn't realize is she's also going against God's authority. And it seems like when women grasp that authority or grasp that control, then they go with it so strongly because they believe if they give half an inch, if they give just half an inch of it back to somebody, then they'll lose it all again. And so they're not willing to give up any of it. Women are very strong-willed. That's one thing I love about my wife. But unfortunately, at times, when a woman wants that control and she gains it, she's not going to give it up. And she's going to go to extremes to keep it and to use it. And men are going to have to realize that God has to do that work. God has to change that heart. God has to do everything. Men have a greater responsibility than what we like sometimes, but that's how it works. Because Adam didn't lead as he should have. He allowed his wife to fall into temptation, and she committed a sin. She actually committed a couple of different sins. Disobedience and not looking at who was supposed to be leading her. Adam failed. And because Adam failed, he even had to be punished. He had to have this thing put on him, which unfortunately caused more animosity. Because unfortunately, men, who do we take our anger out on the majority of the time? I am as guilty of it as ever. Have to toil, have to work. And women have to be in pain and sorrow and have to have somebody that's supposed to rule over them, as God says, but in all actuality, in Ephesians 5:21, it says, submit to each other. And so that's what God wanted to do first, but that submit doesn't mean to give in, to just roll over. It means to willingly cooperate. So men, it's not fun, but pray heavily to God. Talk to Him. Go to Him. Forgive that person immediately. Even if you don't believe it's right, forgive them. Otherwise, you begin to build resentment and a grudge and anger. And that anger can cause you to sin and get mad and lash out. Work through God with this. Know that this isn't just you doing. This is because of everything that was done before you. There's a plan in all of this. But you have to focus on God and trust Him. Especially men, we have to focus on God and rely on Him to guide us the right way. Animosity was placed there because of the fall. Adam had to turn around and start stepping up even more because he failed. Don't fail God again. Don't fail God again. Don't take your focus off of Him. Don't think, well, because she's doing this to me, then I'm going to just have to get mad about it. No. Focus on God and allow Him to work in you. This began at the fall. And the enemy has been manipulating this for as long as he possibly can. He will not stop. It's getting worse, as we can see in many days here lately. May you all have a blessed day.